Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcasts, and boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering the Sibylline Oracles, Book 5, lines 1 through 237.
Yeah, good enough.
And so did any of the papers that I sent you talk about the fifth Sibyl?
I don't even remember, but the fifth Sibyl has some very interesting things in it, like the returning, like the whole Nero returning myth. We did get that in book 3, I think, right? But we're getting that again here. But there's also going to be kind of like an outline of history up to that point as well, because we've seen that in some of their books. In fact, the first Sibyl, I think, had the list of generations where they have the Greek gods.
So kind of like an apocalypse.
A little bit. It's formatted in a very similar way.
Like the animal apocalypse.
Yeah, kind of like that. So, anyways, so the Egyptian origin of this Sibyl is pretty much undisputed. So the sections, it should be noted that there are 5 larger sections in the book. Each one, I guess I should just call them oracles. So yeah, within this text there are 5 separate oracles, and oracles 2 and 4 deal primarily with Egypt. In verse 53, that's in Oracle 2, the Sibyl claims to be the familiar friend of Isis. The opening section, of course, being the first oracle, begins with a reference to Egypt and includes a reference to Cleopatra as well. And there are other hints that this was of Egyptian origin. So the date, of course, this would have to been after Nero actually died, and it probably would have been written around the same time, I could only assume, as Revelation. So it would definitely fit in that context.
So we've got dueling sequels, Revelation versus the fifth Sibyl.
Good point. Yeah, so the prominence of the Nero legend, of course, gives a date no earlier than 70 CE, but probably later than 80. The latest possible date for the collection is supplied by the favorable reference to Hadrian in verses 46 through 50, which I believe are still in the first oracle, which must have been written before the Jewish revolt of 132 CE. So expectation of Nero's return is also likely to have flourished at around that time, at the end of the first century. One detail may give a closer indication of the date. In a number of places, the Sibyl speaks of the destruction about the destruction of pagan temples. The destruction of pagan temples was a notable feature of the Jewish revolt in the diaspora of 115 CE. So it's probably around that time, early 2nd century. It's probably where it fits.
Excellent.
Yeah, and there's really not much more to actually say on it. Nothing that we won't cover just by reading it. So we can probably hop into the review of history section.
Okay.
At least of the Sibyl. That is what it's called. Hey, what book is that?
I don't know.
Well, this book is the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Apocalyptic Literature and Testaments by James H. Charlesworth. Well, edited by James H. Charlesworth. This section on the Sibylline Oracles is written by J.J. Collins.
Yeah, and J.J. Collins is, when it comes to Jewish apocalypticism, he's probably the best scholar on the subject.
Ooh, there is a spicy footnote here.
I love spicy footnotes.
Yeah. So let me just get this out of the way. A review of history, Book 5 of the Sibylline Oracles. But come, hear my woeful history of the Latin race. Wow. First of all, indeed, after the death of the kings of Egypt, all of whom the even-handed earth took under, And after the citizens of Pella, to whom all the east and prosperous west were subjected, whom Babylon tested and held out as a corpse to Philip, alleged not truly to be descended from Zeus or Ammon, and after the one of the race and blood of Assaracus, who came from Troy, who split the onslaught of fire, and after many princes, after warlike people, and after infants, children of the flock-devouring beast, there will be the first prince who will sum up twice 10 with his initial letter. So, bunch of footnotes.
Yeah, I bet. That was, there was a lot of stuff there.
Yes. Now,
talking about the splitting of fire, and of course the letter at the end.
so the one who's allegedly descended from Zeus or Ammon, which is the spicy footnote,
Gotcha.
Alexander the Great, he died of fever in Babylon in 323 BC.
I see. Okay.
Clement Protrepticus 1096 quotes part of verse 6. After his visit to the shrine of Zeus Ammon in 332 BC, Alexander claimed to be the son of that god. But the spicy thing is, of course, there's a lot of hearsay about the death of Alexander. This person's just like, yeah, he died of a fever in Babylon. Like, well, that's not really a substantial explanation.
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, the most I can say about his death is that I know that he did die, and then his empire kind of broke apart.
So some people believe that he had an infection from a fever, from an injury, rather. Some people believe that he had an infection from an STD. Some people believe that he was poisoned.
Okay, so some kind of,
You know what I think?
it was some kind of sickness.
I think
definitely.
he traveled a lot, and he could have got any disease, really. Just by the fact that he
They
traveled,
traveled
a
in so many
lot.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
People who traveled a lot got sick usually.
Yeah.
Well, this one who split the onslaught of fire is Aeneas, who escaped from burning Troy.
Oh, Aeneas. Yeah, he was supposed to be the. So in the Aeneid, in the Iliad, he's a very minor character.
Mm-hmm.
He basically does nothing, nothing of use to the story at all.
He's introduced.
He's introduced. Yeah. So in the Aeneid, it basically takes this one minor character and has him as the father of the Romans.
Mm-hmm. And Assaracus, king of Phrygia, was his great-grandfather.
Of course.
The reference to the children of the flock-devouring beast are supposed to be Romulus and Remus. The one whose initial letter sums up twice 10.
So 20?
Yes. They say that this is a reference to Caesar. Caesar. K is 20.
Okay. See, this is when gematria is like useful.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will make like arguments based on gematria, but it has like no actual bearing.
The Bible code.
Yeah, exactly. Bible code type shit. And it has no actual bearing on anything they're talking about. There are places like this, and of course when we get to Revelation and we get to, Nero being, you have the number of the beast, 666, that kind of thing.
Which is a reference to Nero.
Yes.
616, by the way.
We could talk about that now or later.
615.
How about now and later?
Now and later. Okay, fine. So
Good candy, by the way.
I kind of think they're lame.
They're extremely unique.
wait, what's the candy?
Now and later.
Oh, those things. Yeah, okay. I thought you were referencing the candy as 615, and I was like, there's a candy called 615?
No, there should be. little chocolate Neros.
All right.
So anyways, so there are two readings, right? We have the 666 reading and we have the 616 reading. And One of them is obviously is original, the other is not. So to figure out which one is the original one, we have to figure out a solution that would explain both readings. So in the Greek, it would be 666. But in the Latin transliteration of the name Nero, because in Latin, I think it would be, or in Greek, it would be Neron, but in the Latin transliteration, it's just Nero. So you drop off that final N, which is worth 50.
Yeah, but his name was actually Nero.
But no, in Greek, you would say it Neron.
Yeah, but that's like me saying that Chris's name is Kurisu, because in Japanese you would say Kurisu.
Wow, you're right.
So-
I guess
so-
you should
so
all
because-
just call me that.
Because Revelation was written in Greek, they would have used his Greek name.
Yeah, so they would have mispronounced it.
In the original Greek,
In
it
the
would
original
have been
Greek of many
666.
texts, they use words from other languages frequently. Why couldn't they just say Nero instead of Neron?
Because they called him Neron. Because that's okay. The thing is, that N, that's really just meant to show the case of the word. So Jesus has similar constructions on his name when we change the case. So we have either Isus or Isu if you want to change it to a genitive, or if you want to change it to an accusative, it's gonna. Well, I guess in the case of Jesus, it would still be Isus. But when you have a name like Nero, you would in Greek grammar have that N, because it very, like, sometimes you do get names that don't in Greek it's called a declination.
Mm-hmm.
So where the name changes based on the case. Nero was just not one of those names that they did it with.
Right. So what you're saying is it's 616 because the Greeks did it wrong.
I'm saying it's, if you want to find out the original version of the text, it's 666 because it's in the Greek.
Based off
And
of
then
cultural appropriation.
And then the Latin transliteration of the name, of course, being Nero, gives you 616, which is why the only place where 616 occurs is in Latin manuscripts.
Okay.
But that also shows that even they, back then,
They
understood.
Yeah,
They
it's
understood
a
it was
reference to
Nero.
Nero.
Yeah.
Well, this Nero guy,
Actually, now I feel like that was a worthy explanation. I felt like, what is this tangent leading to? And then I'm like, oh, well, it's coming back together. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
well, this Nero guy, he's yeah. he's Nero
He's the beast.
and Pharaoh.
Wow, that was bad.
Okay, so twice 10. He will conquer long in wars. He will have his first letter of 10. Okay. Julius.
Oh, okay. I see what they're doing. It's like a poetic thing.
Yeah. Yeah. His first letters of so Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Or Julius Caesar. Right. So that after him will reign whoever obtained as initial the first of the alphabet. This is Augustus.
Sure, yeah.
Thrace, not thrice,
Right.
but Thrace.
Yeah, the place.
Thrace will crouch before him and Sicily, then Memphis. Memphis, cast down headlong through the wickedness of its leaders and of an indomitable woman who fell upon the wave.
So it initially started, I think we're talking about Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it kind of sounds like,
They
right?
referenced Alexander,
Yeah. But then who's this?
Annius, Romulus, Remus, Julius Caesar, Augustus. Now this one, a woman who falls on the wave. This is a reference to the defeat of Cleopatra at Actium.
All right.
Yeah. He will give laws to the peoples and subordinate all things. After a long time, he will hand over sovereignty to another, who will present a first letter of 300 and the beloved name of a river. This is Tiberius.
Yeah, it would have to be T.
Yeah. He will rule over Persians and Babylon. He will indeed then conquer the Medes with the spear. Then whoever obtained an initial of 3 will rule. This is Gaius or Caligula.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so
This gematria.
they are having a fucking time with this, man.
It's awful. Quite
They're
bad.
barely trying.
Yeah. They want to make it sound cryptic
Yeah.
by literally engaging in cryptology.
Yeah.
And the one with the long hair to the left, he'll say some things. Whoa.
Wow.
And the one whose name starts with the 3rd of the alphabet.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Real hard here.
Next, a prince who will have twice 10 on his first letter.
So
This is Claudius.
okay, yeah, makes sense.
But he will reach the farthest water of Oceanus, cleaving the tide under the Ausonians. And this is Greek Deixas for
something about justice.
Ixas. The reference is to Claudius's expedition against Britain. Ausonia is strictly southern Italy, but is used poetically for the whole country.
All right then.
One who has 50 as an initial will be commander.
So that would be Nero, I'm guessing.
Yes, Nero. Verse 31 refers to his competing as a charioteer in the Olympic Games. Verse 32 to his attempt to cut through the Isthmus of Corinth in AD 66 through 67.
I like how even if you didn't know about gematria before reading this, they're basically teaching you gematria.
Now I want you to pull out Tacitus,
Okay, is it in this one? Because this
Annals
is...
of Ancient Rome.
Oh, yep.
Yep. So pull out Tacitus, Annals 11:11.
Okay, yes. So remember, this is...
It's messed up, but you should be able to find this.
Yeah.
So he is called a snake, Nero is. And this may be influenced by the story that a serpent was found around his neck when he was an infant. But it may be a more general derogatory term. So that story is apparently recounted in the Annals of Ancient Rome in 11:11.
Okay, in 11:11.
Yeah.
So I'm in the right section. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I can find it because
Something
like I
about a
said,
snake.
something about a snake. All right, I'll look for it.
All right, well, you're looking for that. I'll continue on.
Yeah. So we're looking at sorry, who's
Nero.
Nero? Looking at Nero's. Okay.
But he will reach the far... Okay, I already read that. He will reach the farthest water of Oceanus, cleaving the tide under the Ausonians. When he has 50, his initial will be commander. A terrible snake, breathing out grievous war, who one day will lay hands on his own family and slay them, and throw everything into confusion. This is a reference. Nero had his mother killed, right?
Yes.
Yes. Athlete, charioteer, murderer, one who dares 10,000 things. He will also cut the mountain between two seas and defile it with gore. But even when he disappears, he will be destructive. Then he will return, declaring himself equal to God, but he will prove that he is not. So, this is the legend of Nero's return.
Yeah, and we saw it before in book 3, I believe, and of course we get it in Revelation.
Yeah. The legend of his return appears in book 4.
In book 4? Okay.
Yeah, it
gotcha.
may appear in book 3.
No, it probably is in book 4. I'm probably misremembering
Yeah.
it.
3 princes after him will perish at each other's hands. This is a reference to Galba, Otho, and Vitellius.
Yeah, those are the guys that kind of had a very quick succession. So right after Nero, I think within the span of 2 years, these four each ruled. So like they each ruled for not very long.
Yeah. So, hey, everyone in the audience, you're getting like a thorough history lesson here.
Seriously.
There's something there.
Yeah. Then will come a certain great destroyer of pious men.
I did find something here. So okay. So the games held by Claudius included performances in the circus, where in the emperor's presence, youthful horsemen of noble birth performed the Troy pageant. Among them were the emperor's son Britannicus and Lucius Dominatus Ahenbarbus, horrible name, soon to be adopted heir to the throne with the name of Nero.
Just lost all our barbecuers.
Yeah, sorry about that. The greater applause received by the latter was regarded as prophetic. A further story that in his infancy serpents had watch over him was a fable adapted from foreign miracle tales. Nero himself, who was not over modest, used to say that just one snake had been seen in his bedroom.
I think that's a phallic reference.
It might be. It might be.
Yeah.
It was not over modest. That's interesting. That's but that's ancient history.
Yeah, that's ancient history. It's all Greek to me.
Pretty literally this time.
Used to burn Nero CDs. Is Nero a band?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of
Really?
that band.
Oh.
We should listen to some Nero
Yeah,
Sounds pretty badass.
on the show.
yeah, right now.
We can get copyright strike.
Yeah, let's not.
That's fine.
That's like the one thing that doesn't happen to this show.
I know.
All right. So then will come a certain great destroyer of pious men who shows a clear initial of 7 times 10. This is a reference to Vespasian or Vespasianos, who conducted the war against the Jews.
Oh, all right, yeah, all right.
His son, with a first initial of 300, will get the better of him and take away his power. This is a reference to Titus.
Gotcha.
Titus, by Suetonius, reports an ungrounded suspicion that Titus plotted to overthrow his father. After him will be a commander with an initial of 4, a cursed man, but then a revered man of the number 50. So there are a couple of things here. The references to Domitian, but
Yeah, I think Domitian was around in like 90, I want to say.
but the one with the number 50 is Nerva.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, a lot of gematria this.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Like, holy shit. After him, one who obtained a marked initial of 300, a Celtic mountaineer, hastening to an eastern war. This is a reference to Trajan, who was born in Spain. He died at Selenus in Cilicia. The word selinon means parsley, which is used in the victory wreath at the Nemean Games.
That is interesting.
Yes. He will not avoid an unseemly fate, but will die. Foreign dust will cover him. A corpse, but dust which has the name of the Nemean flower. This would be parsley.
What a beautiful flower.
Yeah. After him, another will reign, a silver-headed man. He will have the name of a sea. This is Hadrian of the Adriatic Sea.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because it's funny because it would have been spelled with a breathing mark.
This guy built a wall.
It's still there somewhat.
Yeah, still there somewhat.
I've seen some of it.
So basically, Hadrian was like, we're going to go out there and we're going to build the wall. We're going to keep all the barbarians out.
And we're going to make the barbarians pay for it.
Yeah, by all historic accounts, he was rather successful at that.
Mm-hmm. So, we're talking about Hadrian. He will be a most excellent man, and he will consider everything. And in your time, most excellent, outstanding, dark-haired one, and in the days of your descendants, all these days will come to pass. After him, 3 will rule, but the 3rd will come to power late in life. And this is a reference to Marcus Aurelius. The other 2 are Antonius Pius and Lucius Verus. Hadrian had no children, but he adopted Antoninus. Antoninus, in turn, adopted Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus. That's the end of the first section.
Yeah, that's the end of the first oracle then, right?
Yeah. Why don't I hand off the next
for the second oracle
to you?
All right. Okay, so yeah, these are prophecies of destruction against Egypt. But yeah, so because of the close connection between Egypt and the Greco-Roman world, especially after Alexander, and in the time of Cleopatra and Marcus Aurelius, and so that high praise would, of course, suggest something more favorable. So so this next section is the prophecies of destruction against Egypt. All right. Thrice wretched one, I am weary of putting an utterance of disaster in my heart, and the inspired chant of oracles. I who am the familiar friend of Isis, which we talked about before.
Thrice wretched one.
Yeah. So it looks like, there's a reference to this in another one of the Sibylline Oracles, book 3, 1 through 7. It looks like.
Is this a reference to Hermes Trismegistus?
That's great.
Thrice great, thrice wretched.
Did we cover Hermes Trismegistus?
I think he was mentioned in one of these.
I remember the word Trismegistus coming up.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was a specific reference to Hermes himself, because it's a title thing, right?
I've never heard of anyone other than Hermes Trismegistus having the title.
So let's see. 3, 1 through 7. So this is just the introduction by the oracle. So are they just referencing themselves?
It could be.
All right, interesting. But I guess so. First, indeed, around the steps of your much lamented temple, Maenads will dart, and you will be in bad hands on that day when the Nile traverses the whole land of Egypt up to 16 cubits.
Okay, what temples flooded with when the Nile starts to flood?
Water temple?
So, the thing is, they had a whole bunch of temples along the Nile.
Of course they would.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure.
This could be a lot of things.
But also, okay, so the Nile, floods like a lot. That's kind of, they built like a whole irrigation system around it. And it's, so 16 cubits, I don't know if that's like a lot for, I guess it would have to be a lot, right? It would have to be, like, over the amount estimated or over the amount that they could have handled.
We can assume it's
for
like
it to flood
20 feet, right? Roughly.
Well, let's say over the whole of Egypt, so that means that everything flooded.
Yeah.
But what landmass are they referring to when they say the whole of Egypt?
The world may never know.
Entirely. I would guess they want to talk about Egypt.
It's like when the Nile floods, it's not like all of Upper and Lower Egypt, which are the opposites. Would
From a map,
flood.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It would have to be a lot there. But here's the end of that section, though. So, yeah, the whole land of Egypt up to 16 cubits, so as to flood the whole land and drench it with streams. Sure, I guess. Okay. The beauty of the land and glory of its appearance will disappear. Memphis, you indeed will weep most of all over Egypt, for formerly you were the one who mightily ruled the land, wretched one. So they're calling Memphis the wretched one there.
Mm-hmm.
So that even he who rejoices in thunder will cry out from heaven with a great voice, mighty Memphis, who formerly boasted most to wretched mortals. Okay, so their entire thing here is basically everyone there is wretched, and just calling a city wretched,
Like Sodom.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. You will weep in dire straits and disastrous fate, so that the eternal immortal God will notice you in the clouds. Where is your sturdy spirit among men? Because you raged against my children who were anointed by God and incited evil against good men, you in return have such a nurse for recompense. So the nurse is presumably Rome. Okay. You will no longer have any right openly among. You will have will no longer have any right openly among the blessed. You have fallen from the stars. You will not go up to heaven. These things God bade me declare to Egypt in the final time when men will be utterly evil. But when the wicked endure evil, awaiting the anger of the immortal, deep-sounding heavenly one, they worship stones and brute beasts instead of God.
So it sounds like this is probably why we say this is an Egyptian Sibyl, right? This entire section, right, which you're in the middle of.
Yeah, he's specifically talking about Memphis of all places, because a lot of
there are also references to ISIS there.
Yeah, in the beginning.
And you know what?
A familiar friend of ISIS.
The Corpus Hermeticum, right, Hermes Trismegistus, was supposedly Egyptian. Don't know for sure. So, like, the thrice great. Here, that's reversed, right?
Yeah, thrice wretched.
Thrice wretched. That may be some kind of reflection of that naming convention that's Egyptian in origin, like a play on it.
Yeah.
Right.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that all of these things combined would at least reflect a thorough education about Egypt, if not Egyptian citizenship itself.
Yeah. And I think that the fact that they are solely pointing out Memphis, when there were a whole bunch of places you could go in detail about, like places you could go for like worship and stuff. To like, you could talk about like Heliopolis, for example.
Oh, right.
You could talk about a whole bunch of places that would have been, you know, at least in terms of idolatry, probably far worse than Memphis.
Right.
Yeah. You could talk about Thebes and like the.
But keep in mind that they just went over the procession of Roman emperors, and there wasn't like a whole bunch of mentions of their idolatry, which they certainly engaged in. In fact, they mentioned Zeus, and they don't like have, oh, this wretched Zeus guy. They're like, oh, this guy claimed falsely to be a son of Zeus, right? So it's strange. Maybe like,
so the thing is, it looks like animal worship here too, a lot, right? So,
well, a lot of Egyptian carvings have that kind of motif.
They do, yeah, absolutely. And the thing, the thing is, their gods are also often animals. So
yeah, like it could be that this is like a Roman-born Egyptian. or an Egyptian-born Roman. I don't
at
know.
that point, can't you really go either way?
Yeah. Well, like they have a surprising amount of information about Roman history.
Yeah.
Right. And clearly everything that they're saying takes place after this stuff happened because they didn't actually predict all that. Right.
Yeah.
So they have a huge amount of knowledge about Roman history. They also have a good amount of knowledge about Egypt and the geography of Egypt, and also Egyptian slang. So whoever this is would have had to be like well educated, at least in some kind of Roman-based system, probably as an Egyptian citizen.
I think that would track. Yeah, that would track, because that would explain both how they know so much about the culture of Egypt and why they're talking about it so much, but the history of Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, revering very many things, one here, another there, which have no reason or mind or hearing, and things which it is not even lawful for me to mention.
What?
So let's see. There's a reference here to book 3, line 31, it looks like.
Looks like there's a lot of references to book 3.
Oh, yeah. So book 3, line 31. Oh, okay. Yeah, the only thing that we're getting here is, so worshiping snakes and sacrificing to cats, speechless idols and stone statues of people, and sitting in front of the doors at godless temples.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
idolatry is what they're talking about.
Right, but I really want to hear what they were thinking about when it was like stuff that I can't legally mention it.
Yeah, well,
like what was going on? I want to hear about that.
Yeah, what is that?
There's not even a note on it.
Yep.
But the verse does go on here. Yes, things that which is not even lawful for me to mention, the particular types of idols brought into being by the hands of mortals. From their own labor and wicked notions, men have accepted gods of wood and stone. They have made them of bronze and gold and silver, vain, lifeless, dumb, and smelted in fire, vainly putting their trust in things such as these. Thamuyas, I guess it'd be, Thamuyas and Xuius are oppressed. The Council of Heracles. So what is that a reference to?
The Council of Heracles.
These are towns. Okay, so those are towns in Lower Egypt. Thamuyas and Xuius are oppressed. Those are the towns. Mm-hmm. The Council of Heracles, Zeus and Hermes is cut off. And you, Alexandria, famous nurse of cities, famous nurse of cities, war will not leave you. You will make retribution for pride, the things you formerly did. You will be silent for a long age and the day of return. Looks like there's a textual break here, because of course there is. And the luxurious drink will no longer flow for you. Also a textual break. But it looks like, i.e. the Nile will dry up.
Okay. So basically they talk about there's going to be a flood, really big flood. And then after the flood, there's going to be a drought.
Essentially, yeah. That is what it sounds like. And they're listing off the cities that will suffer the most, but they did say the whole land.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I could hand it off to you, or I could go for the Return of Nero portion.
Well, let me do the Return of Nero portion.
All right, then.
I handed it off to you after 50 lines.
You did, yeah.
The Return of Nero. For the Persian will come onto your soil like hail. This reference is Greek pedon for depos. The Persian is Nero, returning from the Parthians.
Yeah, right, because they thought that that's where he was staying.
1 Enoch 56:5.
Okay. 1 Enoch 56:5. And in those days the angels shall return and hurl themselves to the east upon the Parthians and Medes. They shall stir up the kings, so that a spirit of unrest shall come upon them, and they shall rouse them from their thrones, that they may break forth as lions from their lairs and hungry wolves among their flocks. And it's important to note that this was probably written well before.
Long before.
Yeah.
So 1 Enoch 56:5 also refers to a Parthian invasion, but is probably influenced by the historical invasion of Palestine by the Parthians in 40 BC.
That would make more sense, yeah.
For the Persian will come onto your soil like hail, and he will destroy your land and evil devising men with blood and corpses by terrible altars, a savage-minded mighty man, much bloodied, raving nonsense, with a full host numerous as sand, bringing destruction on you. And then, most prosperous of cities, the reference is apparently to Alexandria. Most prosperous of cities, you will be in great distress. All Asia, falling to the ground, will lament for the gifts she enjoyed from you when she wore a crown on her head. But the one who obtained the land of the Persians will fight, and killing every man, he will destroy all life, so that a 1/3 portion will remain for wretched mortals.
Yeah, we covered this before. I don't remember if it was... was that that was in a different book of the Sibyl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They talk about this is eschatological.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
How 1/3 are going to survive the purge.
yeah. And there were some biblical references to that as well.
But here, it's not God who's doing it. It's the one who obtains the land of the Persians.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, this may or may not be a reference to Nero. Assuming it is. It's in the section on the return of Nero.
Right, yeah.
Right. So here, Nero is the one, rather than God, who wipes out 2/3 of life.
Right,
on
but
the planet.
that's when we get the judgment, probably.
Mhm.
I could only surmise.
Yeah.
Didn't really work out for them, did it?
No, not at all. Not yet.
Well, I guess in that way it did work out for them because they weren't
Yeah.
all slaughtered.
It's really just not yet.
Right, yeah, of course.
That's the hope, right?
Yeah.
Like Christians actually hope for the end of the world.
It's yeah, because it's all in hopes of a better one after that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
A better one for 1/3 of us.
for 1/3, yeah.
Yeah. He himself will rush in with a light bound from the west, besieging the entire land, laying it all waste. This light from the west. Presumably, he will have conquered the west first. Nero acts as a king of Rome, but is also attacking Rome. When he comes from the west, he must be understood to have come from Rome. Okay. But when he attains a formidable height and unseemly daring, he will also come wishing to destroy the city of the blessed ones, and then a certain king sent from God against him will destroy all the great kings and noble men. Thus there will be judgment on men by the imperishable one. So this is a messianic thing. This descendant of David,
Yeah,
a certain king, who defeats Nero in battle when Nero tries to go against the blessed ones, the city of the blessed ones, being Jerusalem.
Sounds a lot like what's going to happen in Revelation.
Yeah. Of course, we know that in the Old Testament, they talk about this eventual descendant of David, Messiah, who leads the Jews as a king in a fight against Gog and Magog. Right? So here, this has been reinterpreted for Gog and Magog, essentially, being Nero in their place.
Right, and I think we did have the reference to Gog and Magog earlier in the Sibyls as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, not in this Sibyl.
Not in this one, no.
Now we're in another section, prophecies of destruction against various eastern places.
Various eastern places, all right.
Yeah. Alas for you, wretched heart, why do you provoke me to show these things to Egypt? A grievous multiplicity of severity. So here we have confirmation the Sibyl is prophesying in Egypt. Go to the east, to the mindless tribe of the Persians, and show them what now is and what will be.
You know, I guess after Alexander, yeah, I guess you would say the mindless Persians, right? Because I mean, before Alexander, the Persians were doing just fine.
Yeah,
yeah, they were ruling the place. The world was their oyster.
Yeah, this is racist.
Also, yes.
Yeah,
but of course, biblical literature is not.
It's frequently racist.
Yeah, it's not. What's the word? A stranger to that.
Yeah.
Does it say Trevon or Trevorn? I don't know. But hello, welcome in. Looks like an R in there.
Yeah. The current of the river Euphrates will bring on a flood and will destroy Persians, Iberians, and Babylonians and Massagetae who love war and trust in bows. All Asia will blaze, burned with fire as far as the islands. Pergamos, which was formerly revered, will perish like a bunch of grapes. And Pitney.
Perish like a bunch of grapes.
Yep. And Pitane.
I feel like we could start using that.
Mm-hmm. Will appear totally desolate among men. All Lesbos will sink in the deep abyss, so as to perish. Smyrna will one day weep, rolled down the cliffs. She who was once revered and famous will perish. Bithynians will bewail their land, reduced to ashes, and great Syria and Phoenicia of many tribes. Woe to you, Lycia! How many evils the sea devises against you, spontaneously encroaching on the grievous land, so that it will flood with a bad earthquake and bitter streams, with the watery shore of Lycia will which once breathed perfume. So watery could also be translated as unperfumed. The pun is presumably intentional and is playing on the name of Myra, the chief city of Lycia.
So this is giving me a lot of echoes of, you know how when we were talking about things that would happen at the end times, one of the big things would be the reversal of social roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they're talking about these cities that were once great are now falling, and then of course at the end that 1/3 remaining would be the ones to rise up.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely has that.
Yeah. A terrible wrath will also come upon Phrygia because of the pain for which Rhea, mother of Zeus, came and remained there. In Sibylline Oracle 3, Rhea sent the infant Zeus to Phrygia. In the unusual form of the myth, she sent him to Crete. So this is in line with the third Sibyl again. Obviously, the author of the fifth Sibyl was familiar with the third Sibyl.
Right, yeah.
And at this point, there's no dispute over that, right?
Because otherwise they would have used, they would have used something else.
Yeah. The sea will destroy the race and savage people of the Tauri, and will destroy the plain of the Lapiths and break it off down from the earth.
You said of the Lapis?
Lapiths.
Lapiths, okay.
This is a reference. It's reading Exolesas Lapithon Dapedon Kata Ges Aporexei. The Lapiths were a wild tribe living in Thessaly in heroic times. I guess by heroic times they mean like the Odyssey.
They would have to mean that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A deep eddying river, deep flowing Peneus will destroy the land of Thessaly, chasing men from the land. Eridanus, which claims to have once begotten forms of wild beasts. Okay, that was in parentheses, Eridanus. Now, there are a couple of things here. First of all, okay. Gefkin reads Epidanus for the manuscript Eridanus. The reference is enigmatic, probably corrupt. Eridanus was the name of a mythical river, later identified with the Po. So,
All right.
Yeah. Now we're in another section, the career of Nero and his flight to the east. I'll give it to you after this. The poets will bewail thrice wretched Greece when a great king of great Rome, great,
The great king of great Rome, yeah.
we need another great so that they can be thrice great. Yeah. A godlike man from Italy will
Close enough.
cut the ridge of the isthmus. Him, they say, Zeus himself begot and Lady Hera.
So who was it that cut the bridge of the isthmus?
This is blatantly sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
For the mysterious occurrences at Nero's birth, see Suetonius's Nero.
We do not have Suetonius.
Do not have. It would be useful in this specific instance, and maybe in Revelation. But this is, I guess, a reference to Nero.
All right, then.
Playing at theatricals with honey-sweet songs rendered with melodious voice, he will destroy many men and his wretched mother. So yes, Nero.
Yep. Yeah. There it is, because he killed his mom.
Yeah, and we get to hear his honeyed words.
Oh, I love hearing Nero's honeyed words.
Yes.
Those are my favorite kinds of words.
He will flee from Babylon. For Babylon is a symbolic name for Rome. See especially Revelation 14:8, 16:19, 18:2, 21:22. The analogy between Babylon and Rome, both of which destroyed Jerusalem and the temple, underlies the fictional setting of 4th Ezra and 2nd Baruch, which we've read.
We have.
Actually, I don't know. Have we read 2nd Baruch? I know we read Baruch. I don't think we read 2nd Baruch.
I don't even remember.
I don't think so.
We'd have to go back and check. Honestly, we've read a lot of a lot of stuff on this show. So, a lot of very similar. Sometimes we get very interesting stories.
Sometimes very boring ones.
Yeah, I really still like, of course, Satan versus Elijah and Enoch, right?
Yeah.
In a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Was that in the Ascension of Isaiah?
No, that was
the
Apocalypse of
Ezra.
Was it Apocalypse of Ezra?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
Very fun. He will flee from Babylon, a terrible and shameless prince whom all mortals and noble men despise, for he destroyed many men and laid hands on the womb. He sinned against spouses and was sprung from abominable people. He will come to the Medes and to the kings of the Persians, those whom he first desired and to whom he gave glory. This says, see Sibylline Oracles, Book 4. In AD 63, Nero crowned Tiridates of Parthia as king of Armenia, thereby ceding to him, in effect, the province of Armenia. Tiridates hailed Nero as imperator and made obeisance to him as an emanation of Mithras. Nero's popularity with the Parthians endured after his death.
Okay.
So
we can see why he would have had that association.
Yes.
With the Parthians after his death. Yes. But either way, they built up a huge mythos about Nero after he died.
Yes.
Not only that he was coming back, but things he would do when he came back.
Yeah.
Give everybody a high five. You get a new horse or a cow, one of your choice. You need cattle. It's just amazing stuff he would do.
Right. I think. Yeah. Right. Exactly. That's right up his alley. Also, I think Nero did. I think he killed himself. I think it was suicide, if I'm remembering properly. But yeah. Either way, he was. He definitely died.
Yeah.
Wasn't coming back. But the thing is, they didn't really trust him, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I bet this is, bet he's trying to play us.
No, apparently it was popular with the Parthians.
Yeah.
To whom he gave glory, lurking with these evil ones against a true people. He seized the divinely built temple and burned the citizens and people who went into it, men whom I rightly praised. Nero did not, of course, capture Jerusalem, but the war began in his reign. For on his appearance, the whole creation was shaken and kings perished, and those in whom sovereignty remained destroyed a great city and a righteous people. This is possibly a reference to Galba, Otho, and Vitellius, but it may be more general. Lanchester amends it to read when he died.
Wait, hold on. Am I remembering that properly? The ones that, I'm gonna look up the list of emperors, because I don't remember if those were the ones that were in super quick succession or if they were the ones just after those. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, you look that up. In the meantime, I'm going to hand this off to you so that you can continue from cosmic destruction.
Yeah, so it looks like yeah, it was right before. Yeah, Galba, Otho.
I like how that guy's hand kind of morphs into your hand.
What? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's pretty amusing. So if I do like this.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Oh, not
a really
anymore
weird
so much.
long hand.
If I do this.
Yeah. It was better before.
Okay, yeah, I guess it was. Well, whatever. All right. So which section are you on then? Here we go. Cosmic destruction. I love cosmic destruction.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah, right. But when after the 4th year, a great star shines. The 4th year is an equivalent to the 3.5 times of Daniel 7:25 and 12:7, at the end of which comes deliverance from persecution. The star here performs the role of destroying angel in accordance with the widespread identification of stars and angels in the Old Testament and intertestamental writings.
Very cool.
Yeah, right. Very cool.
Very cool. Super exciting.
Which alone will destroy the whole earth because of the honor which they first gave to Poseidon of the sea. A great star will come from heaven to the wondrous sea and will burn the deep sea in Babylon itself and the land of Italy, because of which many holy, faithful Hebrews and a true people perished. You will be among evil mortals, suffering evils, but you will remain utterly desolate for all ages yet. It will exist, but it will remain utterly desolate forever, despising your soil because you desired sorcery. With you are found adulteries and illicit intercourse with boys. Effeminate and unjust, evil city, ill-fated above all. Alas, city of the Latin land, unclean in all things, Maenad, rejoicing in vipers. This remark is clearly pejorative, but its precise relevance is enigmatic. Lanchester suggests the analogy of the death of Cleopatra, which might also be suggested by the term widow. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, because that's in the next thing. Yeah. Rejoicing in vipers, As a widow, you will sit by the banks, and the river Tiber will weep for you, its consort. You have a murderous heart, an impious spirit. Did you not know what God can do, what he devises? But you said, I alone am, and no one will ravage me. But now God, who is forever, will destroy you and all your people, and there will no longer be any sign of you in that land, as there was formerly, when the great God found your honors. Remain alone, lawless one, mingled with burning fire, inhabit the lawless nether regions of Hades. Wow, how rude.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
It is intense, yeah.
Get fucked.
Like, seriously. So that was the oracle against Rome. Now we're getting into an oracle against Egypt. Now again, Egypt, I will bewail your fate.
Bewail.
Why? You just did. Why do you have to do it again? I don't know. Do you think there's going to be anything different?
Are they just going to talk about the Nile flooding?
I sure hope not. That'd be really annoying because
It's going to be some plagues again, maybe?
now again, Egypt, I will bewail your fate. Memphis, you will be leader of labors, smitten on the ankles. In you, the pyramids will utter a shameless sound. Python, rightly called double city of old, be silent forever, so that you may desist from wickedness. Arrogance, treasury of evil labors, maenad of many laments, dire sufferer, tearful one, you will remain a widow forever. So, lots of bad things to say about Python here.
Yeah.
They're going to be very, very sad. Very sad. For many years, you alone were ruler of the world. But when Barca puts on a white skirt over the dirty one.
Who's Barca?
Yeah.
Is there a footnote?
So, yeah, there is. So it's a city captured by the Persians in the name of Darius. So yeah, when Barca puts on a white skirt over a dirty one, may I neither be nor come into being. All right then. I mean, I agree. Yeah. Hopefully I don't come into being.
Too bad.
Fucking assholes.
You already did it.
Oh, and the kilt was a Persian garment, so this may be an old oracle.
Weird.
Very weird.
Yeah, it is. So apparently they didn't. I guess when they're trying to pretend like they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what they're going for. May I neither be nor come into being. O Thebes, where is your great strength? A savage man will destroy your people. But you will take gray garments and lament, wretched one, alone, and will make retribution for everything which you did before, having a shameless spirit. They will see lamentation because of lawless deeds. A great man of the Ethiopians will destroy Syene. And it looks like there was an Ethiopian invasion of Egypt in 24 BCE, but the Ethiopians had always been a threat to the southern part of the country. See, all right, here we go. Dark-skinned Indians will occupy Tukira by force.
Now,
so Tukira is another name for Arsinoe, I guess.
I wonder who they're referring to. Dark-skinned India.
Indians.
Yeah, but there are different castes within India.
Sure.
And it's a huge
But
place.
would they really be talking about... They wouldn't be talking about castes. They
Well,
would be
India
talking
also
about,
had like different localized kings at different points.
right. It'd be
but-
talking about one of those. They wouldn't be talking about a whole caste necessarily.
Yeah.
They. I mean, I don't know if they had knowledge of the caste system, but I guess would they?
We at least know that they're communication or know about India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
But would they have had knowledge of the caste system?
I don't know.
They probably would have acknowledged, okay, there are kings, and then there are the king's subjects.
Because if they did have knowledge of the caste system, first of all, there's a lot of colorism in the Indian caste system. So the darker skinned people would usually be lower castes. But like, it's weird because they could be referring to like untouchables, which would make it especially insulting.
Yeah.
But if they were talking about untouchables, they would not be soldiers.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, really weird.
Pentopolis, you will weep, but a very mighty man will destroy you. Much lamented Libya, who will narrate your doom? Cyrene, who of men will weep piteously for you? Of course, these are rhetorical questions. Mm-hmm. You will not desist from hideous lamentation until the time of destruction. Now here's an oracle against the Gauls.
Ooh.
Among the Britons and wealthy Gauls, the ocean will be resounding, filled with much blood. For they also did evil to the children of God. When the purple king led a great Gallic host from Syria against the Sidonians.
The purple king.
Purple king.
Most probably a reference to Vespasian, who had Gauls in his army. So that is true. He did have Gauls in his army.
But why the purple king?
I don't know.
He picked a color. He liked it.
I mean, yeah, purple is the color of royalty, but then why would you... There's got to be more to it, right?
Maybe he had like purple banners or something. In
Maybe.
his armies?
I don't actually know. If you want to like look up Vespasian flag or something, I don't know if they had their own flags. Not too well versed in very specific Roman flags, or I don't know if like, because I know like in the States, there were different flags for like every battle. Basically, they had different flags, at least slightly. So I don't know if they had a similar kind of thing in ancient Rome. Yeah, I have no idea. But either way, a purple king is how that's noted. Yeah, he will also kill you, Ravenna, and lead you to slaughter. So I'm guessing that would help with the identification. However, it is weird calling him a purple king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I feel like stuff like this, if we're able to find an answer, would make good like YouTube shorts. I feel like that'd be interesting. Man, I should really just do some of this stuff, huh?
Yeah, the studio's open all week.
Vespasian had the distinction of being the first Roman emperor to transmit the purple to his own son.
To transmit the purple? Like to give over the color? Or is that...
Yeah.
Is it a superpower? Is it like before I die, I impart upon you the purple, and now you have it, whatever it does.
It's his quirk.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Well, it's
Somebody's watching
like
My Hero
the position.
Academia or has it.
No, but I saw a reference to it yesterday, so
okay.
I thought it was a
So you've
good...
heard of it, yeah.
All right. So here's the destruction of the Ethiopians.
So according to Suetonius, he wore a purple bordered toga.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Suetonius. I actually needed that.
Yep.
That was gonna bug me for a while. So yeah, destruction for the Ethiopians.
It's pretty straightforward, though, Lawrence.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure.
No one was. It's fine. It's just, it could have been cooler than he wore purple.
It could have been. Could have been much cooler. Indians have no courage.
Whoa.
That's like Indians, comma, have no courage, like a command. Have no courage, and great-spirited Ethiopians. And it looks like ancient geographers were confused on the relation of India and Ethiopia and sometimes claimed that they were two Ethiopias.
Oh.
Okay.
What?
We went the wrong way, guys. We're in India.
It's the entirely opposite direction. Hello?
Nah, it's
People are
down. It's just
stupid.
down. We went down. We went down the wrong way.
Oh, hey, Waukesha, what's going on there?
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry about Waukesha.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, should be sorry about Milwaukee too. This our state is not great.
It's apparently better than other places I've heard.
Yes, I'm sure it could get
go.
worse.
It's not as bad as, like, New York
Chicagoland.
City,
New York,
Chicago,
Chicago.
Los Angeles.
I got nothing for that one.
Never heard of Los Angeles.
No, of course I fucking heard of Los Angeles. Either way, yeah, apparently they confused India and Ethiopia for some reason.
I also just alienated all of our New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles audience.
Sure. Yeah.
You did, yeah.
All one of you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and great-spirited Ethiopians for when the wheel of arched axis, Capricorn. Hold on, the wheel of arched axis, what? Okay, this just gives me the Greek for it. Okay, that doesn't change anything. So I guess that would be an identification of Capricorn. And Taurus and Gemini revolves in mid-heaven. Virgo coming forth, and the sun fixing a belt all about its brow shall lead. There will be a greatly heavenly conflagration on earth, and from the battling stars a new nature will emerge, so that the whole land of the Ethiopians will perish in fire and groanings.
They're literally talking about the constellations fighting each other on Earth.
Yeah, it's well, the thing is, it's an astral battle. Yeah, and it's
Dragon. I know. I'm just throwing it out there.
it's reflected in a lot of reflected in a whole bunch of stuff. But it says here, so Judges 5:20 and also Isaiah 14:12.
Let's see about that.
All right.
Judges 5:20.
Yes, Judges. So there are three references. Judges 5:20.
They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera.
We also have Isaiah 14:12, and then after that also Daniel 8:10. Apparently, there's also references to something like it in
Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? That's bad
That's
reference.
weak. Okay.
Yeah, weak reference.
Yeah.
Bad.
And then Daniel 8:10 is the last one there. But there's also references in some of the writings of Seneca, it seems.
Where is Daniel?
Well, I remember it was closer to the end of the Old Testament.
Yeah, Daniel 8:10. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them.
That's
Daniel
something,
had
yeah.
some interesting visionary stuff.
It did, yeah.
Celestial things were involved.
But either way, yeah, astral battle
Yeah.
will cause the destruction of the Ethiopians.
Pretty intense.
Or maybe India.
Or maybe India, yeah. Can't be 100% certain there. So
Pretty hard to tell.
they had no clue what direction is it. It's like, which way is Ethiopia?
Which way is upper?
Which way is
Oh, yeah.
India?
They went to Egypt and got confused by the upper and lower concept, and they were just lost from then on.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to hand off this last section to you, and we're back to the return of Nero. and also the denunciation of arrogance. So you're ending right here.
Okay. The return of Nero. You too, Corinth, bewail the mournful destruction within you. For when the three sister fates, spinning with twisted threads, lead the one who is now fleeing deceitfully beyond the bank of the isthmus on high, so that all may see him, who formerly cut out the rock with ductile bronze, he will destroy and ravage your land also, as is decreed. The one fleeing deceitfully is Nero.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Fleeing deceitfully. He's dead, guys.
Yeah, he's dead. For to him God gave strength to perform things like no previous one of all the kings. For, first of all, cutting off the roots from 3 heads mightily with a blow, he will give them to others to eat, so that they will eat the flesh of the parents of the impious king.
Wow.
What?
So, the detail recurs in several forms of the Antichrist legend.
So,
e.g.
I'm assuming...
Commodian, Carmen, Apologeticum, Hippolytus, De Christo et Antichristo, see Bousset's The Antichrist Legend.
So this comes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The origin of the tradition, pull out Daniel 7:8. It apparently lies in the conflation of the 3 uprooted horns in Daniel 7:8 and 3 defeated powers, namely Egyptians, Libyans, and Cushites, in Daniel 11:43.
Yeah, so Daniel 7:8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So yeah, that's Daniel 7:8. But I would have thought...
Look also at 11:43.
Okay, I would have thought that it would have been, possibly kind of, since this is supposed to be like an Antichrist kind of figure, I would have figured that it was supposed to have been like Deuteronomy 28, except reversed to be from the Antichrist. But anyways, you said 11 what?
11:43.
All right, 11:43, here we go. He shall become ruler of the treasuries of gold and of silver, and all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Cushites shall follow in his train.
Okay. So this is a conflation of the 3 horns with the Egyptians, Libyans, and Cushites.
And you're right, there is no fallen boy named Lucifer.
No.
Yeah, Babylonian king got too big for his britches is the whole point of that section.
Yeah. For murder and terrors are in store for all men because of the great city and righteous people which is preserved throughout everything, which providence held in special place. Now the final section of the day, denunciation of arrogance. Arrogance.
Fuck arrogance.
Yeah, fuck arrogance.
I hate you, arrogance.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Can we ban arrogance in the chat, please?
Get rid of that.
Hashtag ban arrogance.
It's going to be our thing for the day unless it's the Purple King.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. We'll talk about it at the end. Let's.
Yeah.
Oh, we should make a t-shirt that's like a chess king that's just purple.
And the only people that will understand the reference are people who watch this episode.
Yes.
Yep.
It'd be awesome.
Yep.
I suppose.
Even we'll forget what it means.
We will, yeah.
Yeah. Arrogance, unstable one of evil counsels, surrounded by evil fates, beginning and great end of toil for men, when creation is damaged and saved again by the fates, leader of evils and great affliction to men, which of mortals desired you, who did not resent you within. By you a certain king, cast down, destroyed his revered life, presumably Nero. You arranged all things badly and brought on a full flood of all evil, and through you the beautiful folds of the world were changed put forward these causes for our strife. Perhaps they're the last. How and what do you say? I will persuade you, and even if I blame you somewhat, I will speak.
So, so far it's been kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's been all over the place.
Yeah, it really has been.
A lot of numerology at the beginning, or
gematria.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started off with like a gematria reading of the
History of Rome. Yeah.
Then we went into a woe
About Egypt.
About Egypt.
We had a celestial kind of damnation of cities as well.
Yeah.
And the return of Nero.
Yeah.
And like
there was
all sorts of oracles against Rome and the Gauls, and yeah, it's a strange book.
And it seemed
arrogance.
Yeah, so it seemed at the end there it seemed like they acknowledged the death of Nero, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess they stopped. So I don't know if that was supposed to be like a kind of comment about. There are two options: either they stopped living in denial, or they were more like what's the word I'm thinking of? Kind of just like not exactly a polemic. Just kind of making fun. So I'm not quite sure if that was supposed to be in jest. In jest is the word I was thinking of.
Is that Darth Dawkins?
I have no idea.
Asked about Collins.
Oh, right, yeah. No, we don't. We do not do call-ins. There is no method of calling in. It's just us.
We could do it, but that'd be
We
stupid.
could give you Lawrence's personal phone number.
I don't know. No, don't give people my personal phone number.
We could give you Lawrence's home phone number.
That doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh man, we could use this home phone number. No one uses it either. But don't.
You
do
could
that.
be a guest.
I don't know who this person is. Why would
You
they
could
be
be a guest if you paid $50 a month on Patreon.
That is one way. Or if you were like somebody who actually did things.
Yes, if you were a religious scholar, or
you can
academia,
you
we
can
would take
email
interest
us.
in
You can email us about it. So there's a.
Oh, we have a whole bunch of thoughts on Exodus. Just watch the end of our Exodus stream. And then we actually have like a review of Exodus at the end too.
Well, I mean, yeah, at the end of that one, we do have a review on Exodus. But then we also...
they're talking about the Exodus, the literal Exodus in Egypt, not the book of Exodus.
Oh, I'm glad you don't like
the
that
event.
either.
Oh, on the Exodus. Okay, yeah. So the way that it's described in the book of Exodus, no, that did not happen. The amount of people that are said to have left would have left some amount of evidence for that. There's most definitely a migration. But it would not have been an Exodus event nearly like the one described. And yes, please don't be giving out your phone number. I'm not gonna be giving out my phone number. Just email us. That is the best way to contact us, is by email.
MilwaukeeAtheists@gmail.com.
Yes, that is what you can. Please contact through there.
Yeah. So Exodus did not happen the way that.
No, there was certainly there were probably multiple migrations. Even
there are probably many migrations.
Yeah, but probably not
people.
from Egypt. Probably from the Negev, or even the southern region, like the modern Sinai region. There are actually biblical hints suggesting that as well, coming from like the Mount of Seir. There are hints here and there about
it's weird, right? There are multiple movements between Israel or Judah and Egypt, right?
Nightbot will tell you how to contact us.
So, for example, after the Babylonians, some people went to Egypt, right? And that's written in the Old Testament. They specifically say that God told them not to, but they did anyway.
Well, they also said like don't get horses from Egypt as well, which they did. Which of course there wouldn't have to have been like a a declaration against it if they weren't already doing that. So yeah, there's a lot of hints we can pull about that kind of stuff more than just from archaeology.
Yeah.
Although archaeology is very useful on that because that amount of people would have left some substantial evidence.
Right.
Unless meteors or something. I don't know.
Yeah, meteors. Yep. That's
Then they'd leave meteor evidence for the other people to study, geologists. It would be obvious something happened to that area that we lost evidence as well if we did.
right. Yeah. I suppose I see what you're saying.
I phrased that so elegantly, but
What evidence would 500,000 people leave in the sand? Lots of things.
You could have trail of bones. You could have
Christ.
potteries.
Yeah,
you could
extensive
have,
being
amounts
alive
of
requires
animal bones.
moving a lot of things around.
yeah. Like there would be a ton.
Tons. Anyways.
Like if it was like a very small amount of people, then and the thing is they checked like multiple routes.
Well, they also described the building of the tabernacle, and the tabernacle was meant to be taken down and moved around. So there probably would be evidence of scraps of stuff that got left over.
Some kind of setup because it's not just like they wouldn't be just living on sand, my guy. Come on.
Right.
And sometimes we got to get lucky. Like the sand has to turn a certain way for this stuff to get revealed. So this stuff can be buried forever anyways.
Certainly could be, but that's why they checked like a whole bunch of different routes
they
they
got
could
new
have taken.
techniques with sound-based sand penetrative radar.
I don't think they've checked that one yet.
Well,
but,
I've read stuff that they've combed all sorts of areas with the technology. I mean, it's more being used in South America to kind of get through some jungle.
Sure. I mean, that would make sense as a method. I don't think
the point
that
being that I have no doubt that some people went from Egypt to Israel at some point.
Sure. Yeah. Either way, and yeah, we just told you like what. So
Bathrooms. They had a lot of them. They'd have waste products. They'd have a dump. They'd have scraps.
I guess it would have depends on the route that they took because if they were like going along the sea or something,
yeah, I know.
then that would have been difficult
I'm sure
there.
You could just look
but
in how we know trade routes were used, anyways.
it wasn't even.
There's no evidence of any scraps of manna.
Yeah, no manna. Yeah, that's not a nail in the coffin. But there are books that have been written by Israel Finkelstein that you could watch on it. You could also read.
Watch the books on them.
Did I say watch?
Yes.
My bad. That you could read on them.
Read your videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, hey, if you enjoyed the stream today, check us out on Patreon where you can give us money. You could be on the show. You could win a t-shirt. You could do a bunch of things. If you don't want to win a t-shirt, you can just click on that Teespring link right there and buy yourself a t-shirt. Or if you want to support us in a different way, check us out on our Amazon wish list where you can buy us books, add books to the table, make things a lot easier for us. We also have Facebook and Twitter. That's free to follow us there. And if you want to reach out to us, email at milwaukeeatheists@gmail.com. So that's all our shilling. And I think we're done here.
Yeah, that's about it. Make sure to join us for the next show.
Yeah, join it. See you on
see you on Sunday. We'll be doing the Bible. I'll also be doing Saturday show with Aaron this week.